Okay, I wanted to ask because on our last panel we spent a long time talking about time horizon and how a lot of investors today think they're investors, but they operate like traders and they're not actually investing as much as they're just trading share prices and hoping to catch a swing, which is not the strategy that I would recommend. And as we spoke about in the previous panel, if you're investing today, it might be smart to be investing for 2030. I mean, that's a great goal, right? Which speaks to everything Ross just shared about time horizon. Rick, anything you'd share on that and how you might allocate capital with that in mind?
Well, I think that's a great point. In the copper business, there's a wonderful deposit in Arizona called Resolution. It was discovered when I was Jay's age, which will tell you how long ago that was. It's been 25 years in permitting, and BHP figures another 5 to 7 years in permitting. So think 30 years to put a big copper mine in the U.S. into production. And you need to adjust your timelines accordingly. It's appropriate that we have Ross Beatty here. I was trying to backtest some of my experience with Ross going back to 1988, which is, I think, the first time I wrote a check to a Ross Beatty company. 83. I discovered, I think I've invested in 14 Ross Beatty companies now. And I've had really strange love sort of outcomes, fantastic outcomes. But it turns out, and I think in 14 companies I experienced, I'm going to say 8 to 10 baggers, which is lovely.
Quick break here. This episode is brought to you by West Red Lake Gold Mines. Now, if you know nothing about West Red Lake Gold Mines, let me tell you one thing. This company was founded on the back of a transaction where they purchased the Madsen mine in northwestern Ontario in an area called the Red Lake Gold District, which to date has produced around 30 million ounces of gold from some of the richest gold deposits in the world. Now, what they paid for this mine versus what they got has led legendary mining entrepreneur Frank Giustra to call this transaction the deal of the decade. And Bob Moriarty, founder of 321 Gold, was recently on my show calling West Red Lake Gold Mines one of the two most undervalued gold companies in Canada. If you're curious why these individuals are so excited about West Red Lake Gold Mines, hit the link below to learn more. Now back to the episode.
That experience, I'm just talking about my experience with Ross, maybe the best of my experiences. The median holding period has been 6 years, and every single company has delivered me a 50% decline in share price before I got my 10-bagger. So to be in this racket, to make a 10-bagger, you gotta understand that although your preference would be not to hold stock over a long weekend, you're gonna have to hold it for at least half a decade. And the probability is that the share price is going to fall precipitously at some point in time during the time you own it. So you have to consistently reassess your reasons for making the investment and whether or not the share price adequately reflects the ultimate probability of success. We have Ross up here right now. A wonderful example, I think, is his current effort, Equinox Gold. The market is expressing skepticism about on-time, on-budget delivery in Northern Ontario. If they achieve that, I suspect, this isn't Ross talking, this is me talking, that the stock doubles or better. Meanwhile, in the last 18 months, I've experienced a 50% decline in share price. Am I happy about that? Actually, yeah, because I checked my own precept for buying it and decided, nope, the market's wrong. I'm right. Doesn't always work that way. I gotta buy some more. And in the copper business in particular, if your mindset isn't 5 years or 6 years or 10 years, and if you aren't tenacious enough to suffer through 30 or 40 or 50% price declines during the period of time you hold it, you need to buy savings bonds or something. You need to be way, way, way out of this space.
Okay, I want to stick with this point just for a minute longer because I think it's so important. And the way you become tenacious enough to stick through 30% declines in the share price is by having conviction in your time horizon, right? And we spoke about this half an hour ago, but if you're investing for 2030 per se, then yes, if in a year you're down 50%.
And you got to work really hard. You know, when the Equinox share price declined, Ross is going to be too polite to tell you how many times I called him and said, Ross, are we really truly on time, on budget? Because for me, the variable here is the industry looks at, the investment community looks at the investment track record of mine developers in Northern Ontario in the last 5 years, and it's virtually unblemished by success. And everybody is saying, well, Ross's team is probably just as stupid as the other teams. I've watched this team build mines now for 25 years, and there are a lot of things, but they ain't stupid. But you have to do the work so that you have the courage of your convictions. If your strategy is got a hunch, bet a bunch, when the share price declines, you aren't going to have the emotional stability to hold the stock, or better yet, buy more.